Welcome to Corrective Consciousness episode 298, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist.
And we have another wonderful show here. I just want to quickly say, kind of like we did at the end of, or at the beginning of Reactive earlier this week, just real quick, for those of you that do not listen to Corrective, or Reactive, that just listen to Corrective, that we are going to be ending the show very soon with episode 300. So we wanted to give everybody an opportunity to say something in the comments if that's what you do. Favorite moments from the show, any condolences, anything like that. We really want to thank everybody who's contributed comments and questions thus far. And for reasons why I am ending the podcast, of course, you can listen to Reactive, but basically just have a lot of family stuff going on, and have a busy adult life now. So when I started, I was single, didn't have many obligations, and now I have a lot more and a lot less free time. So please comment and add anything you like for the next couple weeks, so we can read them on episode 300. Without any further ado, we did want to pay tribute a bit here to Bruce Willis, who is a beloved actor who has been diagnosed. I'm sorry,
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, yeah, that has been diagnosed with aphasia. So he is retiring from acting, and we wanted to just kind of go over some of our Bruce Willis favorites, since he is a pop culture icon and has contributed to pop culture in some significant areas, I have to say. I mean, at the top of the list, of course, we have to talk about the Die Hard movies. It is what made him famous and also kept him famous. The Die Hard movies aren't the same and would not be the same without him. He is the he is the main character of John McClane in those. Lotus, you've seen some of these, haven't you? Or most of them?
Yeah, most of them. There are 5 Die Hard movies, and I've seen the first 4.
Okay, you should keep it that way.
That's what I hear.
The 5th one is markedly a lot worse than all of them. And it's not a terrible, awful, unbearable movie. It's just not...
Not die-hardy enough.
Yeah, it's not. It's not evident of the character. It doesn't do anything new, and doesn't really I don't know. It's the least exemplary of the character. Yeah, it's just the most boring. It's a generic action movie. Whereas the reason why these movies were popular and what made them stand out is kind of it's almost like a deconstruction of 80s action movies at the time.
I was going to mention, almost subversion. There's 2 big things about the first movie that I can think of. And one of them is that Bruce Willis is not Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a guy.
Or Sylvester Stallone, who are the 2 biggest guys.
He's a guy.
Dolph Lundgren.
He's a guy who does not come in with a giant, set of machine
muscles.
guns, or muscles. He has a pistol. Maybe he's got to fight against all odds. He's not walking into crowds and just shooting them all down.
He doesn't even have
3.
shoes.
Yeah, he doesn't even have shoes. Yeah, he's crawling through vents. He's getting caught on glass. It's he's a guy. Bad things are happening to him. It's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's you never really feel like he's in any danger in his movies.
Yeah, never.
Commando, he just walks through a bunch of dudes and mows them down. It's fine.
I mean, Commando's great, but...
Commando is an excellent piece of movie.
What was that, Dracologist?
Commando is an excellent piece of media.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the movie that I point to for, an example of what an Arnold movie is.
Yeah. So there's that, but there's also when he dramatically swings into the window hanging from the hose, and it plays classical music, which is not something you would expect.
Yeah, it kind of has like a sarcastic attitude, even in its direction, and like the way that it's put together. It kind of has like this like ode to joy plays for
that's what I mean. Yeah, dun, 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 yeah.
For the bad guys when they open up the vault. It's like it was a lot hipper too. Like they had like a character who cursed a lot. Like he cursed a lot, and it kind of was like even the bad guys aren't terrorists. They're just thieves, and they make a point of that. And
that was like the funny reveal. It's like, oh, you're just like, it was just like in GoldenEye. Like, after all this, you're just a bank robber. Just like, fuck you, man.
I'm an excellent thief.
I'm a damn good thief.
Yeah.
Considering I've upgraded to kidnapping, I suggest you pay me some respect.
Yeah, and part of what made like the movie so good is like there's a lot of really good supporting cast in this movie. It's not just Bruce Willis. Like Bonnie Bedelia plays his estranged wife, who in her own right is a very kind of a badass person. And you have Alan Rickman, who is one of the best villain actors of all time.
He's so snide, it's delicious.
And that was the breakout movie for him. I don't think he had acted in anything before that. And
was Robin Hood not before that?
No, it was after.
Okay.
Robin Hood is in the 90s.
You're right.
Die Hard is in the 80s. He was a fantastic Sheriff of Nottingham, by the way. But a lot of people like rag on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, but I really like this. I don't like Kevin Costner, but I like all the supporting
Alan Rickman
cast.
Was just like taking the piss the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. That movie's fun. But anyway, you have Reginald Val Johnson as the man on the outside. You have the guy who played the principal from the Breakfast Club as like the Dick Sargent.
I didn't even realize that was him.
Yeah. So like you have also like the FBI like guys that show up are like Johnson and Johnson, like not related. The whole thing is like a piss on like just that the tropes of the time. And it's really fun. Even like the henchmen have personality. You have like the two like blonde brothers who are very prominent.
And by the way, I do love, like, it's not really a subversion because you see them both at the beginning of the movie, but Bruce Willis gets the drop on like the more techie nerd of the brothers.
Yeah,
and that guy's fucking huge.
Yeah,
like that guy's a very difficult fight in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah,
and he's the little brother, and you're like, come on.
Yeah, and like they have like fights with each other. Like the two brothers obviously like have like a rivalry going on.
The big guy like distracts the younger one while he's doing something, just tases him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, and so like there's one henchman that just like straight up like while he's like setting up to like assault on cops, he like grabs a candy bar, like
it's a little
just,
thing.
Yeah, just like all kinds of little stuff, like
the
little bits of humor.
Is like got like a wisecracking attitude, and he's dropping rhymes as he's informing his friends that like a legitimate threat is coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like even the
Argyle, the cab or the limo driver, was it a cab or limo? It was cab, right?
A limo.
It was a limo. Okay.
It was a limo driver. But like also like the broadcaster, like the guy who's like who interviews her the family. You know, even that guy has a personality. The people that show up only for like a scene or two, have like a prominent personality.
Well, it's great because if you go back to those really old Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Schwarzenegger himself doesn't have much of a personality. Like his character doesn't have much of a personality. He's guy who needs to save person. The villain kind of has a personality, and probably his number one henchman does. Everyone else is just like a faceless guy to get shot. So Die Hard is interesting in that nearly everyone in the movie, you can remember something specific about them.
Yeah, every henchman has a distinct personality, which is pretty cool. Usually you don't see that. It was just really great for the time. I mean, he obviously is a guy who is in shape, but he's not a superhuman.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, the Arnold movies come down to, like, now it's just you and me, and there's an epic fight. And maybe the big villain in Commando was, like, just a rich guy. That guy's not going to fight, so you just shoot him. But, like, when that would have been what happens with Alan Rickman, right? He's not a fighter. But, like, when Bruce Willis has to fight, like, the big brother guy, that's an uneven fight. Like, this isn't the epic, like, oh man, let's see who's better. It's like, well, no, clearly the other guy is way better. How is Bruce Willis going to get out of this one? Was the question.
And by the end of the movie, he is fucked up. Like,
yeah.
And they make a point of showing that. And like, even his his estranged wife, who's being rescued by him at the time, is like, Jesus, what the hell?
Yeah, like he's cutting his feet on the glass. That's a famous thing that's even been recreated in the crappy NES like video games and stuff like that. Like, he takes damage and actually retains it. Because in so many of these movies, the good guy might take a hit to the shoulder or something and be like, but like it doesn't. It only actually interferes with them like when the plot calls for it, and like inconsistently. Bruce Willis like retains his damage the whole way through, and it's like, this fucking sucks. I gotta do this all by myself.
Yeah, so I absolutely love the first one. I watch it every Christmas. I know, there's always a debate on whether it's a Christmas movie or not. I don't give a shit. It's fun. It's just a kind of a tradition that me and my wife have. I watch it on Christmas Eve before I go to bed every year, and it's fun. Die Hard, we all have our traditions around holidays and stuff, and that's just one I do. That and Home Alone, which is Die Hard, but a kid.
Home Alone is Skyfall, but a kid.
Skyfall is Bond, but Home Alone.
Yeah, so the last act is Home Alone.
But I think I even like leaned over to you and said, "This is my house. I have to protect it." When it happens
like come on, like
in
really?
The movie theater. Like, and you started laughing. It was
because that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. But we from there we have Die Hard 2, Die Harder,
which is the best title in like I know. Like Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo, but like
that's great.
Die Hard, Die Harder, like that's fucking great.
We never got a chance to see Die Hardest, unfortunately.
Yeah, that could have been Die Hard 3, but it still had a good title. But
well, they didn't want to end it there.
And Die Hard 2 I've only ever seen once, and I actually had to go out and specifically seek it. Die Hard 3 and 1 I saw on TV. 4 I actually saw in theaters, but 2 I was always just the one I missed.
Yeah, so 2 is like kind of until 5 came out, it was kind of the black sheep of the series, which is kind of funny because it's not a bad movie at all.
I actually quite liked it, and it had a twist that legitimately caught me completely by surprise.
Was it Ed Harris is the bad guy in that? Something like that?
It was just like there were certain people who come in to help, and then surprise, they're in on it too. Like, that really got me off guard.
Yeah, it's the one I've seen the least.
I only saw it the one time.
And I do like it. It's good. I just haven't had a chance to play it. No, Ed Harris isn't in this.
You haven't had a chance to play it?
Play it. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
I haven't had a chance to play it on my DVD player. Technically, you could play it on your PlayStation 2 or 3 or 4.
But the guy who the broadcaster from the first movie is back, and he's on the plane with John's estranged wife, Bonnie Bedelia.
Well, yeah, because she cracked him in the face at the end of the first movie. In the beginning of the second movie, they establish he establishes that he had like a restraining order against her, and he's like, "Excuse me, stewardess on this plane, could you please move her? I have a restraining order against her." And then she's like, "It's true, he actually does."
Oh, okay. So you know who the bad guy is in this? General Ramon Esperanza is the bad guy in this, and he's played by Franco Nero. Do you know who Franco Nero is?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
He is the original Django from the spaghetti western.
Oh wow.
Django. Like the original Django, not like Django Unchained.
Yeah.
He's like the inspiration for like like tons of anime. Like the you ever watch something where somebody's dragging a coffin behind them?
Yeah, I think I first saw that in Cowboy Bebop.
Oh no, it's Trigun. I think Trigun has that.
Well, no,
I remember a movie.
definite...
I remember a movie like film, a film called Sabata, where a man was dragging a coffin behind himself, and it had a minigun in it.
That is Django. It must have a different name in other parts of the.
But no, there was definitely a scene. I haven't seen Trigun in forever, but there was definitely a scene in Cowboy Bebop where this guy's like, "I've been dragging this coffin behind me for years, just so when I finally get my hands on you, I'm gonna put you in it." And then like a moment later, a truck just happens to drive by, barely missing the guy and just shattering the coffin to a million pieces. Like the moment he finishes that sentence, he's just like, "Oh!" It was a riot.
Well, there is one that is more like the inspiration in Trigun, and
what Wolfwood with that thing he always wears on his back.
Correct.
With
That's a cross.
Giant fuck off crosses.
Exactly, and that's certainly inspired by that, and also the GBA game that Hideo Kojima made. What was
Boktai?
The Boktai. Silver Boy Django. He does. The main character is named after him and carries a coffin behind him the entire game.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so like that one's a little on the nose, but just a little. But yeah,
considering it's Kojima though, like where he calls it out really directly, like. Because, I mean, he'll name drop, but he won't have them just be the character.
Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, but she wasn't, like Dr. Strangelove, though. Like, that was just a name drop. Like, a guy named Django who actually drags a coffin around, even for Kojima, like, that's pretty on point.
Just straight up theft.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's like, like Snatcher. Like, the Blade Runner aesthetic and everything. Like, there's no names, but that whole game is Blade Runner. Like, I can't believe he got away with that.
I mean, Quentin Tarantino, I'm sure didn't pay anybody because like that it was probably a public domain thing.
Well, it was the same thing with like Inglourious Bastards. Like I don't know what the plot was, but there is an older movie called Inglourious Bastards, which is why the Tarantino one is spelled Basterd. It's like, why the hell is it misspelled? Like, so he doesn't get sued. That's why.
Well, in this case, what happened was the original Django movie was incredibly popular. It was the spaghetti western that wasn't a
Clint Eastwood.
A Clint Eastwood movie that like really made it. Because it was more violent than the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and the Dollars trilogy, right?
Yeah, those movies have a lot of guys getting shot, but usually there's like little to no blood. It's more
exactly.
Like the brutality is more in just like how shitty the characters are, rather than like the Godfather level of violence.
Yeah, exactly. The shocking bit is the anti-hero quality of a lot of the characters. And also the bad guys tend to be like even worse than the anti-hero.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, the anti-hero, like I mean like the main Clint Eastwood movie I saw was not part of the Dollars trilogy. I always forget the name because I freaking suck, but it was the one where like a whole town was just being taken over by these three guys who had been recently let out of prison. And Clint Eastwood's like the only guy who has no problem to shooting a guy dead. So the town's like, can you help?
Yeah.
Like, I guess. High Plains Drifter.
I was just going to say, I think that one's High Plains Drifter.
Yes.
Yeah. But, this one was a spaghetti western, an Italian production western that was made for the rest of the world. Usually filmed in Spain, which is even more complicates things because of the arid climate of Spain. And so, like, a lot of movies back then, like, especially, like, low-budget, grindhousey movies, they didn't, like, copyright it properly a lot of times especially when brought over to the United States and other countries. So like a billion other Django, like unlicensed Django movies came out, and only one sequel is official, and then of course the Quentin Tarantino one actually has Franco Nero in it, but it's actually not as the same character though. But he's like, I know how it's spelled, but that was a cool moment.
That was pretty
good. Because it has a D.
Yes, Django, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, really interesting. I didn't know that was Franco Nero in that. But yeah, this movie is pretty good. I like the ending. The ending's pretty cool. With the way that he like takes out the plane.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And the ejector seat, I think that's pretty awesome too.
And he also just straight up stabs a motherfucker in the eye. I really didn't expect that. That was shocking.
It's also my favorite out of the Die Hard trilogy, like Die Hard games. Like it has like the light gun segment.
I never. That's the PS1 thing, right? I never played that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Die Hard trilogy has like the first 3 games that emulate the 3 movies, and it has like 3 different styles. One of them's like a run and gun action kind of game for the first game. The second one is a light gun game in the airport terminal, and then the third game is kind of like a crazy taxi almost kind of game. Like
that does make sense considering that they have to keep driving everywhere. But I was gonna joke and say the third game is just solving children's riddles.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get to that, but probably the movie that is like heralded as probably the second best in the series, Die Hard with a Vengeance, which came out in '95
with badass motherfucker Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and again, another movie where the supporting cast is particularly good, and that's what made it.
Well, that is a thing. In Die Hard 2, not as much. There were people who stood out, but it wasn't everyone like in Die Hard 1.
Yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance, the bad guy is very prominent. It's Jeremy Irons, and he plays the younger brother of Alan Rickman's character from the first movie.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Yeah, so but he is more he is nearly as charismatic as Alan Rickman is, and this is a really good one just because like it does have children's riddles in it, but I kind of like that about it. It's kind of like
and when you're stressed, you might not necessarily be thinking of the end. Like one of them is that classic like, here's like a pitcher that only holds 3 cups of water. Here's one that holds 5. I want you to fill it to exactly 4. And like, fuck, and they're doing that like adding, subtracting.
It's like a math problem. Yeah, it's like a math. Yeah, it's exactly like a math puzzle. But the dialogue and the back and forth between him and Samuel L. Jackson in the movie is particularly funny.
Oh yeah, they're sniping at each other through almost the entire movie.
Yeah, it's what makes it good. I really enjoyed that movie, and it also feels a lot more modern than the first 2 movies. Like it even feels more modern than most '90s movies. It just like they filmed it very in a very modern way. And they also kind of bring back the classic music. They did they
overused that one though.
Yeah,
like, I was watching the movie with Mr. Ryu, and when they're building up to the climax where the bad guys are going to their like final location and they're really playing that music, he's like, I get it. But it was pretty funny though.
And then the 4th movie came out, and
it's okay, but
it's pretty all right. Yeah,
but like it was famously PG-13. There is like a I don't remember if it was an unrated version or brought back up to R version.
There is an unrated version, yeah.
But like he doesn't even get to say yippee-ki-yay motherfucker in the theatrical cut. He says yippee-ki-yay mother, and then he fires the gun, which cuts him off, and you're like, all right.
Well, this one has Justin Long in it, who does a pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, I like him, especially because they play up that he's a dweeb, and by this point, Bruce Willis is really no longer the everyman. He's ironically become an Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's fucking huge in movie 4 and onward.
Yeah, in the fourth...
Even now, like, he's a really big guy.
in the fourth movie, he straight up is taking out like a
Like a helicopter.
Harrier jet. Yeah, he
Well,
takes
this
out
was something
like a
that like
Harrier
The
jet.
Office with Steve Carell like directly addressed, where he's like
Yeah.
he became the everyman that like those movies were like they weren't making fun of them, but they were like you said, deconstructing.
He doesn't even get hurt in the fourth one, really.
Yeah, like by this point he's well. It's like a lot of media that does this. Like there are tons of things that were made decades ago where they were just stories. Like Dragon Ball, where Goku's a strong kid, but like okay, but now
Yeah.
there's Super Saiyan God and all this bullshit. Like the fact that he's 40 years old means that he's awesome because he has a history, so he's untouchable. So like Die Hard 4, Bruce Willis is untouchable because like now he's famous for
He's a
being
legend.
John McClane.
Yeah, he's a legend. Yeah, I mean he does have some. There are some good fights in this, though. Like there are some good action scenes in this. Timothy Olyphant is pretty good, but not nearly as charismatic as Jeremy Irons or Alan Rickman
Yeah.
or even Franco Nero, to be honest. But he's okay. I like the Kevin Smith stuff in it too.
Oh yeah,
But-
I forgot he was in that. Yeah, where he's just like, what was he? What was he called? Like the Wizard or the Warlock or something?
Yeah, it's
He
something
was
like
that
that.
ultra hacker guy.
Yeah, and he does this Kevin Smith thing of being a Star Wars nerd in a basement.
I actually do like that bit quite a bit, where he like Justin Long was trying to convince Kevin Smith that Bruce Willis was not a cop; he's just a guy. And like, don't worry, he's into nerd stuff. Sure, he is. And Kevin Smith's like, oh really? And he has like a standee of Boba Fett. Who's this guy? And Bruce Willis like tries to deflect, and he's like, I don't know. I'm more of a Star Wars guy. And Kevin Smith's like, oh fuck this. It was great.
And that was kind of like maybe we'll get into this maybe next episode, but like he if we end up doing more, maybe we could just do this as a Die Hard thing, just because like it's kind of running long here, but
Sure.
I think that's a good send off for Bruce Willis's going after his legacy here, but yeah, and then there was the fifth movie,
I haven't even seen that one.
which is Live Free or Die Hard,
Which is like, again, very good job.
yeah, but he partners up with his son, like his grown-up son from the first movie, and John McClane Jr., and he has no personality whatsoever. Like he doesn't add anything to the franchise. He doesn't even have as much personality as Justin Long. Like the things that made the movies good is the supporting cast and how they play off of John McClane, who's a smarmy dick.
And Justin Long, like, a lot of people at the time, I think, knew him from the Mac and PC commercials.
Yeah. So
But, like,
he has chops. Yeah.
But he can. I was going to mention, he can act like he was the main character of Jeepers Creepers, a horror movie.
Yeah,
Remember
he's also really funny. He does a lot of like improv stuff in a lot of his movies. Like he was in Zack and Miri Make a Porno, which is a Kevin Smith directed movie. They became friends after Die Hard 4, and he is really funny in that, and he's like in a bit role, but like it steals the show. It's so funny. So I definitely recommend people like look up the clip that he's in because it's really funny. But he clearly was ad-libbing all that. Like he's a really cool guy. He kind of does what he wants nowadays, which is kind of cool. Like it's just like does projects that he likes. But yeah, that fifth movie, like there's nothing to say about it. Like it takes place in Russia. It's like it has some, like, it's a generic action movie, and that is what Die Hard wasn't. Die Hard was not a generic action series. It was, a subversion. So, like, to see it devolve into kind of like everything...
You're becoming exactly what it was subverting.
Yeah, exactly. It became like one of those, like, Olympus Has Fallen kind of movies, just like something that you see on FX someday, like...
Yeah, well, you know what it makes me think of is, like, this isn't true of the movie itself, but, like, when Deadpool came out and then DC panicked and they're like, we gotta make our Guardians of the Galaxy, we gotta make our Suicide Squad movie look more like wacky and humorous because it worked for Deadpool. It's like, well, number one, Deadpool's humor matches the character.
Yeah.
That's important. And number two, it's not good because it's smarmy. It's good because it's the first movie to be smarmy in this kind of cinematic universe.
It broke the mold.
If you copy someone else, then, like, you're kind of missing why people liked it. If they've seen it before, then they've seen it before. Like, I've brought this up before, but it's like Silent Hill 2 did the, like, like an endgame reveal of something your character forgot, and then, like, every Western-made Silent Hill game, except for Shattered Memories, tried doing that. Oh, but did you know that this aspect of your past is a thing that exists? And it's like, Silent Hill 2 didn't work because it did that. It worked because it was the first to do that. You can't copy Silent Hill 2 and have the same effects like nobody saw it coming because they saw it coming back in 2002 or 3 or whatever year it was.
Yeah, it earned it. The fifth
movie... it earned it, but it also wasn't derivative. Like, I've seen this before. It was called Silent Hill 2. What else you got?
Yeah, so the fifth movie, like, the son is, like, the biggest problem because he is just a generic action man. And that it's like the exact opposite of what he was. And what they should have done was they should have made, like, the son some kind of polar opposite, like, kind of like Justin Long is, like, the nerd in the
and Bruce
the fourth
Willis
movie.
Like, barely tolerated him. It's just that he needed him for his computer skills. And Bruce Willis like, God damn it, let me just punch something.
They could have made him like some kind of weakling or something that like was really bad with a gun, or like just have like have him learn something from Bruce Willis's character, but he's just a straight up buff action man. So like it doesn't make much sense. It doesn't add anything. He's not there's no opportunity for like dialogue, like the bickering that Samuel L. Jackson has. And the bad guys are utterly utterly forgettable. So like, I mean, if you watched it, you wouldn't be disgusted, and you might even say like it wasn't like a terrible waste of your time. But yeah, it's just like when you have a series that's a cut above the rest, a shining example of like one of the best action movies of all time, and then like a couple of its sequels are really, really, really good. Like Die Hard with a Vengeance in particular, like is still one of the best action movies.
It's a lot of fun.
I really love that movie.
And you get to see Jeremy Irons possibly at his second most hammiest. You remember his first one, right?
Folks.
I think there's a supercut on YouTube of the Jeremy Irons scenes from Dungeons and Dragons, and like, if not literally every single one, then almost every single one is just a treasure. Like, he knows what kind of movie he's in, and he is just like, whatever. He goes so hard.
He's actually really good as Adrian Veidt in the Watchmen TV show. He was really good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt. Yeah. He does a really good job as that character, and he kind of acts to the nines in some places. So yeah. But I think we can move on to fan stuff unless you have anything more to say about like the Die Hard franchise. I think we pretty much covered it, except for like the bad video games. Like there's a lot of other video games that aren't very good.
I've never touched any of them. The closest I've come is Die Hard Arcade, which is
the best one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's Dynamite Deca, but like It is a Die Hard game, though, kind of. And I still love the bad guy, like, why is it not safe open? Like, his voice is ridiculous.
His voice is so stupid.
It's so... And the daughter's under the desk, like, oh... Like, it's so goofy.
It clearly was a game that wasn't intended to be a Die Hard game, but they slapped that license when they came over to America because it was so damn close. It was so much of an homage to Die Hard.
My favorite, though, is at the end of Dynamite Cop, where it does the video game thing, like the Streets of Rage 1 thing, where you save the daughter from the bad guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, which one of you is cooler, though? And then the players just fight each other.
Oh, no, that's the Double Dragon thing. Yeah.
yeah, Double Dragon. And what's really great is when one of you wins, you just, like, grab the daughter's hands and you both just jump up and down, like, yay! Like, that's how it ends.
It just killed my partner.
It's so stupid.
What I like is in the sequel, Dynamite Cop on the Dreamcast.
Well, that's what I was talking about, yeah.
In the sequel, they name the character Bruno, which is also like Bruce Willis's alter ego, like for his like singing career.
That's amazing.
Which is really funny. Like it's so on the fucking nose. It's so good. I think he's also called Bruno in like the Project Cross Zone stuff that character ends up.
I forgot he came up in that. That's absurd.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Alright, so comments. The first one is from Dracologist. Whoa.
Oh, what a guy.
Who?
How'd he do it? Who is this guy? So, I'm sorry?
Just go ahead.
Alright, let's do it. So, yeah, just R.E. Violence Jack. So, I watched Violence Jack, and it's basically Devilman. It's edgy, but not terribly difficult watch. Okay, fair enough. And then C. Barry says, I want new themes and backgrounds for the Switch, like on the 3DS. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know why they're dragging their feet with that.
It's been 5 years. We're almost ready for a new console. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then School Filmer says, another Isaac progress report. I have done just 2 more characters, or excuse me, I have just 2 more characters to beat Mega Satan with. Apollyon, that can be tough, and Keeper. Yeah, have fun with that. I just want to get it done before Bethany, Jacob, and Esau, Jesus, and the Tainted character say hello. The Ace of Spades unlock is ridiculous. You gotta defeat the Lamb without picking up hearts, coins, and bombs. Yeah, so power-ups only. That is no joke. And I've gotten close a few times, but I messed up a couple times by unintentionally picking up something I shouldn't have. And yes, I am playing as the Lost for that one. He's still easier to play compared to Keeper. Yup. As long as you beat Ultra Greed, then yup.
I don't think I'll ever go down the Isaac rabbit hole just because it's just so ridiculous now.
Repentance is just too much, yeah. I platinumed the game fucking 3 times, and Repentance is my where I draw the line. So Living Corpse says, regarding, like, RE cool parts of things that you didn't expect, and then he says for guns, he talks specifically about the ammo. So here's that. I said I'd go over ammo, and I'll try to keep it TLDR. So there's multiplex ammunition. That's when you go see the movies. Cartridges that look normal, but have 2, duplex, or 3, triplex rounds in them. Multiple bullets behind each other in the same cartridge. Then there's flechettes. Yeah, that I know about. Little thin, long needles can come in multiplex. My favorite ammo is the SCMITR rounds. Long, wide, flat, stamped sheet metal. Oh, that's not what this stands for. That's why I paused. I was looking, but no. With 2 curved tail wings to impart spin. It's pretty much a flying razor blade. Could also come in multiplex. Sounds like a fucking Halo weapon.
Yeah,
there's polymer brutal cartridges where the bullet casing is made of polymer or plastic. Telescoped ammo where the bullet or fletchet is completely inside the casing and partly or completely submerged in gunpowder instead of partly sticking out of the casing like traditional rounds. Caseless rounds where the casing is compressed solid gunpowder with the bullet in it and burns away when fired. Another type of caseless...
Yeah, those are actually very good at superposed loaded weapons.
Yeah, no doubt. Another type of caseless round is the propellant in the bullet, and the back end has a vent acting like a rocket. A third version just has solid propellants glued to the back of the bullet. And triangular casings called Trowns, locklifts casing shaped like chiclet bubblegum boxes, and if you want a real trip, look up something called folded ammunition. It's even weirder than the Trowns.
Wow.
Huh. Well, damn.
I just found out about snake ammunition, pellets that are specific, like pellet bullets that work for like pistols that are made specifically to stop snakes.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
And then our question: From Vakaphon, is there some outdated mechanics that have disappeared or are very seldom used anymore that you still enjoy? For example, you so rarely see games with limited saves anymore. Yeah, there are very few I can think of where you can run out of saves. But going back and playing some, I don't dislike it. Or maybe games that are very, very, very scarce in healing. Like how modern games have heal and save areas. It almost makes me think of Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, I was just going to say Resident Evil 1's
Resident Evil 1 is famously scarce on ammo, although there actually is enough, but when you don't know the game, you always feel like you're running low.
Yeah, when you don't know to conserve, it takes you by surprise.
I think I mentioned this before, but after I'd beaten the game a bunch of times and I was just trying to capture footage for my comparison video, I was like, I just want to go through this game as fast as possible. So I saw like a speed guide for it. We could do it in like an hour and 25 minutes, and I actually kind of came close to that, surprisingly. But like, I just skipped the shotgun completely. I beat Plant 42 with the pistol, and like I got the Magnum later. Like
that's pretty
wild.
crazy. But yeah, with Resident Evil, like I tend to have like tons of ammunition by the end of the game. Like just
if you know what you're doing, there is enough, but you really feel like you don't, especially if you keep getting bitten by zombies. It's like in Fatal Frame, a single healing item heals like a third of your health, and you're like, oh, that's a lot. But then you realize anytime you get hit, you lose like a third of your health.
Yeah.
That's not true in the sequels, but Fatal Frame 1 is, man,
it's brutal.
Healing items and enemies are very potent.
Let me see. Let me think about
I mean, well, this is cheating because I mentioned it last week, but fixed camera angles, but games are designed around them, so it's cool.
Yeah.
Or like manual saving only, where people get used to autosaves and then they turn off the game and they're like, oh fuck, I lost my data. But like at the same time, there's a certain security in like consciously saving.
I kind of miss like kind of the set piece game, kind of like Devil May Cry, where you go through a specific like section of the mansion that you're in, and like everything's open world nowadays, so there are far less games that are like super focused. I was thinking about this the other day.
Levels.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, you know what? Out of all the Batman Arkham games, I think I still like the first one the best because
it's the most, even though it's kind of open, but like it's the most intimate of them.
Yeah, exactly, and also Arkham is a character in itself, right?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, with Arkham City and Arkham Knight, you can travel much farther, but the buildings themselves are just decorations in the city, as opposed to you getting very, very familiar with like 4 buildings.
Yeah, like Arkham is an installation, and it also like is a Metroid game as a result of it. Whereas there are sections that you can't get into, of course, in the later games, but it's an open world game with gates. That's different than a cohesive map that unlocks as time goes on, and you can go back and backtrack and find upgrades and stuff like that, and hidden upgrades.
Yeah, well, again, similarly, going back to that, compare Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 3 or like any of the Silent Hill games, where you're walking all around the city and then there are key places that you get more familiar with. But Resident Evil 1 is so focused on the mansion that it's like what you said about Arkham Asylum, like where the mansion is almost a character in and of itself.
Yeah, I do like that kind of roller coaster ride where it shows you what it wants to show you, kind of thing. And not that I don't like open world games. I actually do love them. It's just that I want variety. I don't only want open world games. I mean, they all get
open world for the sake of being open world is fields.
Yeah, exactly. They all get samey eventually, and like I really like Dark Souls because it's like that. It's kind of like that, I haven't played through Elden Ring. It kind of does the opposite here. It takes it to the open world. But I suspect I'll like it. But like I do like that focused aspect that I think from the 360 PS3 era that I think has kind of gone away, and I don't think it's bad game design. I think it's a choice to make a game like that now, rather than being forced. Like now, you could choose to make a game like that rather than you know that's the kind of game you can make. So I hope they go back to like there are some games that go back to it, because I remember playing games like Ninja Gaiden and Devil May Cry, like character action games from the PS2 and PS3 era that were just phenomenal, and and the original God of War stuff. And I'm grateful that these games have moved on from that and done that, but I also kind of want it back too. So it's one of those things. I want the variety.
To me, I would say that sometimes it would be really nice to have save files you can name.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I think I said that before.
Yeah.
But otherwise, let me think. Game mechanics I would like. If I want to be jaunty, I would say I wish back the old plane simulator games where you have to use the entirety of the keyboard and the button combinations.
Yeah, you know what?
But no, the actual that is some corner I don't mind being filed off a little bit. I do
miss that kind of stuff though. I kind of like it.
playing the keyboard like a piano, yes.
Oh yeah. Well, even if you look at the old like X-Wing and TIE Fighter games, those controls are terrifying. There's so much.
Yeah, Operational Warlord.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really wanted to hammer home that it was a simulation of what you were trying to play at the time.
Yeah.
I wanted to say they bring back old mech simulators, but BattleTech's still going. So
yeah.
Then again, nowadays it's mostly just turn-based strategy or multiplayer against other play.
Well, I still remember seeing MechWarrior 2 back in the day, and the manual was like a book. I couldn't believe it.
Well, it's
awesome.
Book series, so.
No, I know, but just how to play the game, goddamn.
Yeah. Games like Iron Assault and is it Earth Siege?
Yeah. I love that
Actually,
stuff.
I did just. Go ahead.
I wanted to say that the diversity is a little bit only waned back to things like MechWarrior only.
Yeah. But I will throw one more thing out there. This is it's honestly kind of more frustrating, but at the same time, the fact that we don't have it anymore means we lose a little something. Regarding point-and-click adventure games, they've been streamlined, so if you click on something, either it works or it doesn't, right? Can I click this? Yes or no? But in the old point-and-clicks, you had different icons. You had a walk icon, you had a look icon, you had a talk icon, you had a touch icon, and if you clicked the correct thing with the incorrect icon, if you click touch on a person or talk on a door or something, at worst case scenario you might just have that's not going to work. But sometimes they would have little joke lines about how you're trying to talk to a door, what is wrong with you, stuff like that, and that you just don't get that anymore because games
everything
are easier to play.
Streamlined. Yeah. I also any kind of physical component to games has kind of disappeared because they are barely sold physically anymore. They're only sold as kind of a novelty now.
Yeah, I miss manuals.
Well, I'm just saying they're PC games used to be full of feelies, that were part of the game. It was a genuine part of the game. That stuff, you had code wheels and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember even Stone Keep came with its own novel.
Yes. And a base to stand the game on.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff was cool.
I think KQ5 might have come with a hint book that had those little red glasses to make the invisible text visible.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Physical component of the game. Even something like Metal Gear Solid used the case as part of game case as part of a puzzle in the game. So I mean
And similarly, this was really kind of their own DRM back in the day, but like finding a place in the manual with an answer to a question the game asks.
Yeah, that's kind of
now it's redundant, but it's cool when games play it into their lore, because sometimes a game would just not let you launch. It'd be like, what's the third word on page 5? And it's like, But like in King's Quest 6, you had riddles as you were climbing this mountain that, like, if you look up like lore of the game, the answers are in there just incidentally. It's not just security DRM, it's like it's flavor that is being used as DRM.
Wow. Well, yeah, I think we explored this topic pretty well, and I think we came up with some good ones. Any last bits here from either of you?
Not much.
I'm trying to think of something, but I'm probably running out.
More player-friendly level editors.
Yeah, you know what? Level editors are only a thing in certain kind of low-techy kind of games. I wish there was more creation tools, especially for, like Bethesda games and stuff like that. Like they should add more.
I think Doom 3 let you play around with making your own levels.
Yeah, the snap map is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, even that's like...
Doom 3's old now, though.
I was going to say even that's like over 15 years old, but I remember that being insane at the time.
Yeah, they really should bring that back, especially in first-person shooters. And your ability maybe to program your own weapons and things like that would be pretty neat. Yeah,
because with classic Doom, it's just endless. But like, I just remember seeing like a YouTube video of Doom 3 where someone just made the level like his house, and I thought that was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
That's neat.
The Doom level is just straight up where you live. Like, that's so cool.
That's pretty fun.
I seen, again, map editing in Doom. Pretty in old school Doom, to be exact.
It is actually insane what they've done with old school too.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we explored that pretty darn well. That's the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions and comments. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics for the next 2 weeks on the YouTube.
I will say we have one. We have one.
Good. Yeah, I don't think we'll have an opportunity. Maybe we could do one final question and that's it, right?
Or maybe we could like rapid fire multiple questions if we end up getting them. We'll work it out.
Yeah, like you tell you guys be the judge. You give us the ammunition. We'll see what we can do with it. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes, because how else will we sell a dead show? It'll help promote and spread awareness of a dead show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going, but it won't.
But it won't.
Very encouraging.
You can also catch us on 2 more Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at the next 2 weeks. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything, and please do, so we can keep in touch.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found on patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Steam, Discord, and Skype under the name Dracologist.
Wonderful. Well, we'll catch everybody for the next 2 weeks.
Thank you very much for joining us, Dracologist.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Well,
let's give a warm send-off to a fantastic contributor to the show. I really have to thank you for everything you've done.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we love having you around, and please don't be a stranger. I still want to talk to you and keep in touch with you and collaborate with you in the future. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. We'll catch everybody on Tuesday.
Long days and pleasant nights. Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.